Okay, let's see what this kid UltraDavid on the side here has to say. What I'm going to do, what I tend to do in these streams, is let the commentary play for a little bit, and then I'll pause it and give feedback on what I feel about how I'm doing so far. If there's something that I do that is good, I'll try to mention it. I'm not trying to just blow myself up exclusively. I think that it's important to let yourself know if you did something well. If I did something bad, then I'll highlight that as well. And I know this starts terribly because I remember it, so heads up on that. I'm going to start doing commentary lessons, paid commentary lessons soon. So if this is something you are interested in, please let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or whatever. Again, this is going to be commentary analysis of myself at the Capcom Pro Tour Online South America, which I did with Rynge, as you could see. And again, this starts out really badly.
And welcome to twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters. I hope everybody's doing good today. I am Rynge, this is UltraDavid, and we are here to determine another participant of Capcom Cup. How you doing, David? All right, fair enough. I'm David. Well, you know,
I'm UltraDavid. I'm sure you just said this is UltraDavid. And now we have to watch the Capcom Pro Tour Online South America. What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing great this morning where I am and afternoon in Brazil.
Yeah, indeed, it's rough.
So that went real badly. There are key moments, right? Just in the same way that there are for playing fighting games. There are moments that you need to be on your game for. And it's the same way for commentary or for whatever else. Jesus, I really got to cut this guy. And certainly, stream start is a big moment. It's a key moment. You have to be ready for it. What happened was, there was a countdown. Let's see. I think that I put part of the countdown in this little rip that I made. Yeah, there's 3 seconds left, as you can see on the bottom right here. And that was counting down from like 5 minutes. With 1 minute to go, I ran out the door here and just like went pee like one last time. Because I just had a whole bunch of coffee and I just like wanted to make super sure. And so I like ran out the door like right beforehand. And then I sat back down, and what I tend to do before going live is I have a little routine, right? I check the little microphone here. Is the mute on or off? Is my headset muted? Do I have Discord muted? Do I have Zoom muted? Whatever we're on. And you know, if you're going to be commentating, you have to have all that stuff unmuted. So I have a little process that I go through, and I did not do that because I had to pee. I didn't even have to. It was a make sure. It was like me being like, what if I'm here and like I just had all this coffee? What if it comes to bite me in the next like hour before we get a break? And so I ran off. I definitely do. I mean, that's my natural humor is the reason. So when there's something to play off like this, so it's
Another participant of Capcom Cup. How you doing, David? All right, fair enough.
So I had him muted. No, I had him muted, yes. And so I couldn't hear. And so I'm trying to figure out like what part of this is muted. Is my headset muted? Do I have the program muted? Do I have is Windows muted? What's muted here? So I'm like trying to figure it out on the fly.
David.
You see me looking down to do there.
Well, you know,
I'm UltraDavid.
And I finally get back to it.
I'm sure you just said this is UltraDavid. And now we have to watch the Capcom Pro Tour Online South America. What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's doing great this morning where I am and afternoon in Brazil.
Yeah, my natural humor is really sarcastic and silly. So when there is something like this, yeah, I want to play it off. I want to make it a joke. Obviously, I screwed up, right? Everybody could tell. I can't come into this and be like, everything's normal. That would be weird. Wouldn't that be weirder if you did that? So I have to address it a little bit, but I don't want to just say, hey, I forgot that I had you muted. So it's my bad. I don't want to say that either. I want to have something in between. So this was what I went with. It's my bad for not having gotten this right in the first place. So points taken off for that part of the performance.
Yeah.
But what I said in coming back, I think is fine. You know, to again, obviously I screwed up. It's time to make a joke about it. So.
Indeed. It's around 5 p.m. in Brazil right now, so everybody's raring to go for the top 8. And of course, we can take a look at the bracket as it follows. You can see winner semifinals. We got Shushu versus Darlon.
So in addition, I was hoping that Rynge would talk a little while here, and I think he got that. I think he got that sense, because I wanted to double check all of my stuff. Like now I'm double checking that everything's unmuted, that I can talk, everybody can hear me. I'm sending a DM to the people who are running this right now, just being like, sorry, and making sure that we can still communicate, you know? So I'm hoping that he's going to talk for a little bit.
On the top half,
and he
got
is.
Ja Lesche versus Griffin Mass. In the bottom half, 2 participants of the top 8 last time in the South America regional.
So, you know, when somebody comes in like a dingus, like I did, and they had, I mean, I was screwing up, you know, that was my bad. As the person who didn't screw up, it's on you for a little bit to carry things. I feel it should be. As the other person like regains their footing.
And then at the bottom, we got
he did. Yeah, he handled it well. He handled it. Rynge definitely did exactly what he needed to do here.
Bracket, and then we got Shades BR going against Pupilo in the last round 1 match of our top 8, of course.
I mean, it threw him off a little bit too. So, you know, to hear how he responded.
It's around 5 o'clock
this morning where I am, and afternoon in Brazil.
Yeah, indeed. It's
right. Like, he's a little bit thrown off. He didn't just like go directly back into commentary. So he's not what he expected. You know, you get thrown off your game a little bit, even as in the role that he's in, which is totally understandable. But yeah, I think overall he did this well.
Mass in the bottom half, 2 participants of the top 8 last time in the South America regional event. And then at the bottom, we got Dark versus Shaka in the losers bracket. And then we got Shades BR going against Pupilo in the last round 1 match of our top 8, of course. Pupilo, known as Wellington as well, premier boxer player in the world. So it's going to be a good one, of course. Thank you all for joining us for another day of incredible Street Fighter V action. I really enjoyed the first.
Okay, the thumbs up there was me giving a thumbs up to the people who are producing this. Just being like, yeah, I checked everything. Everything's good. I'm back in. Don't worry about it now.
First day of South America, it was just action-packed. The matches were amazing, and it was the type of Street Fighter I like to watch. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to top 8 being even better than that.
And it was super diverse. We have at least 8 different characters. Could have 9, depending on what a couple of these players do. That's really cool to see. This game is at a state, of course, where that's very viable. We have all these characters who can make it happen. We have players who placed well at the last CPT Online South America. We have 3 different countries represented. Of course, Brazil, you know, a local powerhouse. Lots of strong players there. 6 represented in this top 8. But 2 from elsewhere. 1 from Peru, of course. Last time the CPT champion was from Peru. That's Picoro. We could have 2 from Peru. We also could have somebody from Argentina as well. That's Shaka. So again, great representation across the continent and across different characters.
So I'm glad at how I think that I recovered here, because that was, ooh, what a spot to stop on. Yikes. That's a face. Let me just, okay, all right, good. I didn't have big execution errors here. I think that I spoke fine, and I had points that I wanted to make in advance. I mean, these are the points that I was intending to discuss right off the top, you know, so my intention going into this was, okay, Rynge says hello, then I do this little spiel. Players to watch, or the sort of character diversity, the geographic diversity. And as we're doing that, then we go into the bracket, and that's sort of the framing of it, right? Look at this very interesting, diverse top 8 we have, which includes players like yada, yada, yada. That's the idea there. And it just didn't work out like that at all, but I felt like were still points that I wanted to bring up. So after Rynge was done and he passed it back to me, I still wanted to say those things, and I think that I at least did a good job at that. So the beginning, definitely bad, my bad, but at least the recovery was there. Thanks, Tavi. Great. And yeah, AJ, when people mess up and pretend like it didn't happen, in my mind, that's worse than, you don't have to say what, you don't have to get into detail about what happened, but like, I saw you screw up, like, don't pretend it didn't happen, you know?
Don't waste much time either. It looks like Shushu is going to go up against Darlon, our Peru representative, as you mentioned, rocking the Akuma. Again, these players we only got to see one time yesterday, right? Because they started in winner's bracket, they qualified from there, they didn't have to keep playing. So we just got a little bit of a taste of what they're going to bring to the table here. So I'm looking forward to more. And Shushu, who won and qualified with Chun-Li yesterday, is actually going with a Buki in the Akuma matchup.
I see that. Yeah, this is one of the players I was mentioning when I said maybe 9, because he's been using both Chun-Li and Ibuki here, of course, going with Ibuki. Maybe preferring her ability to start offense a little bit more strongly, maybe preferring her DP.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And I just cannot believe he spaced that roundhouse so perfectly to get the crush counter. Now he's in the corner. Good block on the overhead, taking his turn back.
One thing I should say as well is that before this top 8 happened, there's a whole pre-show that happens every time before CPT now, which I love. I think it's so cool. That Logan does, usually with Femi, but sometimes with jammers. And those are cool. Those are super cool. And what they do in part is they look at how the players who were in top 8 qualified for top 8. So they go back and look at some of the matches. And as they do so, they pick certain spots to highlight. And those spots that they highlight are typically key moments. They're moments when a player does a cool combo. They're moments when a player wins. Some interesting decision happens, something like that. And I noticed, and I felt this way as well, but in the top 16, I didn't feel like I was doing a great job at the key moments. I had, even before this top 16, thought about that as a part of my game that I needed to improve a little bit. So I thought about some ways to improve it, and I felt like I did do better. But then when I heard the pre-show, it was almost all clips of Rynge commentating, because he did a good job when it came to those moments. And I guess they did pick some moments when I was talking, but not as many. And so I thought to myself, well, okay, what I'd like to do then in this top 8 is specifically look for those moments and make sure that I am handling those well. So that's something that I'm going to be doing here.
Activate the V trigger off that, of course, and the back row for the screen position.
Yeah, it could all fall downhill right now. I mean, last time we saw Darlon play, this was so strong. His demon flip pressure was so good, his ability to create things out of that, and we see him going back to it now. It makes all sense, right? Such a strong move.
Yeah, exactly. And I really just love how much he makes his opponent uncomfortable very quickly with the demon flip setup.
No more V meter now a bar, but still stuck in the corner. And finally the EX. This is something I thought may have been part of the reason for this character pick.
Yeah, and I love the EXDP after the EX for Fireball as well. Most people just take the pressure on a pick. So, ooh, the anti-air still comes in clutch, very close at this point. Doesn't challenge the EX Demon Flip too far for the crouch medium kick. Still anyways game at this point. What a tech throw to stay alive.
Chuchu backing off. He can block one. Oh my god, the fireball! And comes out Chuchu with the reactions immediately. But even if that had been blocked, that would have given Chuchu the V trigger.
Yeah, just incredible.
I think I could have explained that a little bit better. As I'm listening to it now, the way that it came out to me is, what if Darlon had blocked that EX? But I think what I meant to say was that if Shushu had blocked the fireball, he would have gotten V meter. He would have gotten V trigger. Yeah, other than that, it's fine.
Plot on the fireball and counter it perfectly. What a first round, dude.
Yeah, really back and forth there. Trying to play this footsies game in the middle. Both characters pretty competent at that. No DP. Maybe a lesson for Shushu to keep in mind moving forward.
Indeed. We encourage he jumps a little bit more. Ends up getting with the cross of this time. He tried to press the button a little bit too late. Now he gets caught reaching.
Still pressure. Please do punish. Only the jab. And Starlon gets away just like that. He's got his own offense starting again. Trying to get the throws again in there. Oh boy, Shushu's in big trouble just like that. He could have gotten the kill earlier.
Wow, waking up, jump forward and with the kunai and getting him in the front. I cannot believe it played out that way, yo.
I thought that was a good back and forth right there. Part of what I'm doing as I'm commentating is trying to guess when these key moments will come up. Again, it was really something I was focused on. And you can do that kind of, but it's not going to be always, right? Because I'm trying to make the same reads that the players are trying to read. I'm trying to guess what they're going to do, just the same way that they are as players. Because I want to know when I should bring in the heightened voice. I want to know if the key moment, if the winning moment's going to happen in 20 seconds from now. If it's half a minute off, I don't want to like get real excited yet if that's what I think is going to happen. Because it's like not the right time. If something super sick happens, then obviously I would get excited. But if it's just sort of a back and forth, then that's not really appropriate. But if I think that the winning moment's about to happen, then I do. I want to. This is the time to like bring in the emotion. I mean, I'm not making up the emotion. Like I feel it, but I feel it because I'm expecting it. I think yeah, Seijan certainly does a good job at that. I think that the best at that is probably Rip. Rip does a great job at that. And a big part of why he's so good at that is that he knows Tekken so well. He's still a really strong Tekken player. So he can get those reads. This is a big part of why I think that it's important to play the games that you're commentating at least pretty well. You don't have to be a top 8 contender, but to be able to like reasonably compete, because it really helps not just with the individual info, not just with the analysis, but it really helps when it comes to getting hype, because it helps you know when to get hype, right? You can have a better expectation of that. So I think Rip does a really, really good job when it comes to that. Like that's part of why when Yipes gets really excited, it's part of why it works, because he knows the games that he commentates so well. If you think back to him in Marvel 3, he knows those moments super well, and so he is instantly aware. Even before some cases the players are aware, he knows what's going to happen already, and he can convert that into like he's excited, hype, joke, whatever it may be. That helps, it really does.
Again, Shushu could have just taken
Yes.
it earlier.
It was over because, as you mentioned, he did DP into the V-trigger activation. That's punishable. We saw the jab throw, though, which, I mean, obviously not the most optimal punish. If he just did jab into special, something else would have stunned him up and would have left him with enough life to actually get the kill afterwards, as you mentioned, for sure. But I still can't believe just the cojones to wake up with the jump forward into the kunai.
Think about when we watched Shushu yesterday play. He made some, oh my god, some reads like that were pretty strong.
So usually I don't want to continue a point that is from the previous round into the next round. But I'm okay with it in this instance because it's not really from the previous round. I'm commenting on the player's style generally, and that may be relevant. And then when something more interesting happens, the throw out of the weird part of forward fierce, okay, bring it in. I mention it. And then also
like that were
like that, right? And I, rather than just continuing to say like, what if I didn't interrupt myself here? What if I just continued to say, yeah, he likes to make really big reads. Meanwhile, a big read happens, a weird reaction happens, some weird situation. It would have been worse if I hadn't addressed it and then mentioned and then folded it into the same point that I was making. That was good. Yeah, knowing the flow of the game is super big.
pretty strong. He's
Yeah.
not, worried about taking big bets like that.
Definitely not, and they're paying off.
Tekken
right there. You
7's
see him actually.
Tekken 7 is definitely super hype at the end. There's no doubt, right? That is part of why that game is so exciting. But even beyond that, the way that the best Tekken commentators handle it is super good. Rip and Steve, and I really like MYK on commentary, Eris, right? There's a lot of really good Tekken commentators, and they handle that really well.
Throw him out of the overhead, which takes Akuma airborne. He had to throw very late in the active frames at that point.
Chance for pressure. Tried to meet him in the sky, not quite. Darlan trying to take a little bit of a turn, not too much. He's got to be concerned about throwing fireballs at that spot. We've already seen Shushu get through. Had already thought about doing the demon flip, I'm sure. Now pressuring, trying to steal some great life, and here he is.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
So, part of why I kept talking there is that I sensed the end of the round. And to go back to the previous point of wanting to do a better job and taking more control in key moments, if I sensed it, I wanted to make sure that I had that I took advantage of it.
concerned about throwing fireballs if that's
So like oftentimes I won't talk for 15 seconds straight or whatever this was. This was a while.
I've already seen Shushu get through. Had already thought.
And in that moment right there, that was the moment where it could have been Rynge's turn to take control, to start talking again. I don't think I heard him go, Not that that's, I mean, that's not like a great like entry. If he had just said something, maybe I would have stopped, but I don't think I heard that at the time, and it's kind of hard to do that in online commentary. So I took back.
Thought about doing the demon flip, I'm sure, now pressuring, trying to steal some great life, and here he is.
Yeah, I took it back, and I think that went well.
I like that a lot. I like Shushu not being too anxious with the DP. We saw a DP earlier in that situation, and he would have a lot of ground to make up. So he just plays it nice and defensively, and tries to do his best, but of course cracks in the pressure of Darlon. And again, this is top 8, everybody, so it's 3 out of 5. Don't forget that.
Correct, yeah.
I guess we hadn't talked about that yet.
Neither one wants to commit. Darlon just a little bit. Again, no DP. I'm not sure he's had an anti-air yet.
Yeah, because
Shushu,
I mean,
keeping that in mind, certainly. He has his own anti-airs, has had it a couple of times as well. Again!
yeah.
Prospect's not easy, but love to see it in that situation.
Yeah, I'm imagining that's what he's going for. I don't know. We're just seeing the counter hit. There's no special actually coming out at that point.
Oh, please, no! The point blank punish, trigger activation goes unpunished.
Yeah, he was looking for a throw right there, but left a little bit of damage on the table, left an opportunity on the table. We've already seen Shushu make the most of that.
Again, walking in and out of that spot right there. At any moment, Darlon could activate, and he does! Dash up combo. He's gonna get one more series here. Shushu, very dangerous. And knew it, so he wakes up with buttons.
Yeah, very smart, right? Darlon respecting the fully loaded meter. Oh, now going with the demon flip setup. Sees him reaching.
So this kind of situation here where, you know, I'm trying to guess when there's going to be a big change in the momentum. I want to focus on where key moments may be. And this kind of situation felt to me like the moment that Darlon would want to activate.
Again, walking in and out of that spot right there. At any moment, Darlon could activate. And
so I bring it up, and that's exactly when it happened. And that really helps. That helps make the commentary better in a couple ways. It helps to bring up the possibility of it happening, and then having it happen is exciting, right? It helps people it hypes people up. This is now a big potential swing in momentum, and again, that can help hype people up. But there's also the analysis side of it. Some people prefer to hear that, and so it's both, right? And the day before, when I was doing commentary, it's not like I'm not constantly trying to make those reads about what's gonna happen. The question is whether I say it. Sometimes I think it's about to happen, but like if Rynge or whoever is already talking, I don't want to interrupt them necessarily, because maybe they're gonna handle it. If it seems like they're not gonna handle it, then I'll hop in. But what I wanted to do this time was to be more proactive about that. So I don't want to interrupt him. That's not the goal here. The goal instead is just to find those moments in advance when it seems like there is an opportunity, and to make sure that I'm capitalizing on them in commentary, which I think I've been doing so far. So that's cool to see. My subjective feeling of this top 8 was that it was not good. And maybe that was, in retrospect, just the way that it began, right? The terrible entry. But since then, this is only one set. It's not even half the set that we've seen so far. So far, it's been pretty good.
he does dash up combo. He's gonna get one more series here. Shushu, very dangerous. And knew it, so he wakes up with buttons.
Yeah, very smart, right? Darlon respecting the fully loaded meter. Oh, now going with the demon flip setup. Sees him reaching. And really wasn't even a punish on the throw tech attempt. It was just the fact that he got the low forward while he was still standing. Confirms it into the Tatsu and takes the game.
I really like that insistence on the demon flip. That's been working out extremely well for him.
Do you see how much I'm moving as I commentate? I move a lot, like I said. This is not me like putting on a show for being on the camera or something. You can probably even tell as you're watching me now, like I am constantly moving around. I'm sitting in a different position. I'm just real fidgety. But I think that's fine on camera. I mean, as long as I'm not moving out of frame. I'm cool with imparting the energy that I have. Because, I mean, yeah, I just have a lot of... I'm no Tasty Steve. But like I do have energy that I am constantly trying to. Oop, hello. Wow, I tried too strongly to get it out. I just hit my own keyboard without realizing I was going to do that. Sorry to everybody's ears. So I'm constantly doing that, and I think it's cool to bring that point across on the camera as well.
Even in this season where they tell you Akuma's a little bit nerfed. Things like Fireball. He actually did Fireball activation, and he actually still made great use of the Demon Flip.
As long as I don't physically assault my co-commentator. The last time I commentated with Tasty Steve, I made sure to grab his arm. Yes, I was like, for sure. For sure.
Now, of course, you can't just do Fireball activation from full screen anymore, but he nevertheless did it. That was pretty sick. 1-1.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Yeah, it looks like we went back to the lobby. Perhaps the character select screen visits for Shushu, because again, we mentioned
Oh, yeah, I guess the last time that I commentated with Tasty Steve was online, wasn't it? That was for the Mortal Kombat event for the boys, which was a lot of fun. But I mean the last time offline.
he was playing Chun-Li. That's the character he qualified with yesterday.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's what we're getting right now. Maybe he's taking just a breather to reset a little bit and regain his composure with the Ibuki, but more than
Look at me, man. I cannot sit still. It's always been like that, even as a little kid.
not, I think he's going to the Chun-Li.
I think that's my expectation here as well. His Chun-Li looks very strong. He, again, was able to make really, really strong reads with her. I actually loved his pressure.
Like, look at Rynge, right? Like, Rynge is just, like, relaxed. He's, like, in the same spot the whole time. He's just, like, hanging out, just watching some video games. He's doing a good job. It's just a very different, like, physicality to it.
As Chun-Li. And she's very capable of doing that this season. She's got a lot of great options for that. Snowballs really, really well after legs, for example. So if he could get that pressure more often, maybe. It didn't seem like he was able to get that quite as much with Ibuki. What's he got?
Yeah, it felt a lot like you could see some of the Chun-Li play in his Ibuki, right? Like he was going for a lot of roundhouse from that range where Akuma wanted to throw fireballs. And because of that, I think that Chun-Li will serve him a little bit better in this matchup, just because it seems like that's the range he wants to play at primarily.
Can certainly get under fireballs as well. Can set up his own projectile game without having to worry about it as a finite resource.
Yeah, see, I'm already fishing for the roundhouse.
Yeah, definitely. And at that range where he's kind of outside.
Listen to me here. You can hear how much I'm moving by how it sounds compared to the mic. Listen to this.
Yeah, definitely. And at that range where he's kind of outside of what Akuma wants to be doing.
Do you hear me? When I was like, where? Like, I must have been back there. Like, I must have been real far away from the microphone as I was saying that.
Still, Darlon making great use of that neutral game. The fireballs have been impeccable from him.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Just because your player, your opponent, I should say, sorry about that, switches the character to try to counter what range you want to play at, you can't get discouraged, right? You got to make sure that you be a little bit more stubborn, make sure they second guess what they want to do. Crush counter in the air, though, so it's not as bad.
Here's on deck if Darlon can find an opportunity. Oh, wow! The big swing. Now, remember all those EX Bird wake-ups? It's not going to be an issue here.
Yeah,
At least for Darlon, the stun is down. Giving up a bar.
So he was about to say something and I kept talking. Let's listen to the time before that. What happened?
Be a little bit more stubborn, make sure they second guess what they want to do. Crush counter in the air, though, so it's not as bad.
Here's on deck if Darlon can find an opportunity. Oh, wow! The big swing. Now, remember all those EX Bird wake-ups? It's not going to be an issue here.
Yeah,
At least for Darlon, the stun is down.
Hard to tell, really, I think, whose turn that was. Even now, in listening back. Because there was a little empty space.
Yeah,
At least for Darlon, the stun is down. Giving up a bar.
Oh, that wasn't
down.
enough. Where was this?
Yeah,
At least for Darlon, the
though, so it's not as bad.
Here's on deck if Darlon can find an opportunity. Oh, wow! The big swing. Now, remember all those EX Bird wake-ups? It's not going to be an issue here.
Yeah,
At least for Darlon.
Yeah, maybe that was Rynge's turn. I don't know. That's hard to tell. It's a hard one. Because there had been a second or two before I started talking again and before he started talking simultaneously. The way that I ended it was clearly the end of the sentence, right? It was the end of the thought. It was declarative for sure. And that's a big signifier of transitioning between the two commentators is the end of a sentence. It's the pitch that you use, or it's the intonation, where the emphasis is, all that sort of stuff. And that is typically, at least what I do and what many commentators do, to signify like, hey, End of thought. Your turn. But when he didn't then talk, I think that was why I came back in, because he didn't, he didn't actually take up the transition point. So again, maybe I should have let him go, but I don't want to let it just float through. I mean, not having commentary for a little bit's okay. It's not that bad, but I think that I thought that like something important was happening, and if he wasn't going to be talking, well, I should. So anyway, unclear is what I'm going to go with. The stun is down. Giving up a bar. But I think that was probably, I don't remember this specifically, but I ended a sentence for sure. It's transition point. He doesn't take advantage of it. I begin talking. I hear in my head as I'm talking that he was going to begin talking and then cut himself off. And then now I probably think, okay, I'll say something very short. It's your turn.
Bird, wake up's not going to be an issue here.
Yeah,
At least for Darlan, the stun is down. Giving up a bar.
And then he didn't, right? So the way that I came back in as well was tentative, wasn't it? It wasn't me coming in strongly. It was a little bit more, if I'm speaking at this volume I was using, the sort of low volume, and he talks over me, then I can move back, I can stop talking without it having seemed like I was like I cut myself off, right? Because it was a softer entrance than I will typically do, because I wasn't sure, if he's going to talk, then he can do it. But he didn't, so I finished the thought.
Darlan makes his way in. And yeah, those roundhouse you identified even before Chun-Li was picked on screen has been huge.
I wish I remembered what I was thinking there. But what I think I thought, I don't know, is I talked. I then ran over him when he began to talk. Then I gave another space where he could talk. He didn't, so I began talking. And then I finally say something that actively brings him into the conversation. That you mentioned. You mentioned the roundhouse. It's your turn, right?
Is down. Giving up a bar. Darlan makes his way in. And yeah, those roundhouse you identified even before Chun-Li was picked on screen has been huge.
That's exactly what he's been looking to play.
Cool, good. So he does take it up and he comes back in. That's good.
Even as a Buki, that's kind of the range he feels comfortable. So now Shushu just
huge jump in, extremely damaging. One more series here. Again, keep in mind all those EXs. The backdash instead. And now even Chip is a big problem here for Akuma. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to come up.
Yeah, with no V meter available right here, no V reversal in sight, and that's why he went with a normal into the super, right? Just because there's really nothing you can do if you don't have any V meter. So great stuff from Shushu.
Yeah.
I think I may have let my intention of capitalizing on key moments get the best of me there.
No V he's been looking to play. Even as a Buki, that's kind of the range he...
The commentary I'm doing, the way I'm talking, and the way that I occasionally did talk over him here, sort of sounds to me like I'm just too focused on being the person who does that moment, and that's not good.
Feels comfortable. So now Shushu just...
huge jump in, extremely damaging.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Let's listen to this.
Huge.
That's exactly what he's been looking to play. Even as a Buki, that's kind of the range he feels comfortable. So now Shushu just...
huge jump in.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure why I jumped in right there.
Extremely damaging. One more series here. Again, keep in mind all those EXs. The backdash instead. And now even Chip is a big problem here for Akuma. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to come up.
Yeah, with no...
So again, right, like it's the same kind of thing where I'm identifying like what I think is likely to happen. But I don't want to say, the way they handle this is not, I bet there's going to be a chip damage super real soon to close out the round. No. Instead, it's to bring it up.
Akuma, yeah, that's exactly. Even Chip is a big problem here for Akuma. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Something like that. That's it signifies like here's what's plausibly gonna happen, and than it does, which again is good. I mean, that is a good. It's good to have that. That is engaging, right? It's telling the story. It's providing analysis. It's giving an opportunity to get excited, like all in one, which is good. I just think that maybe I continued to talk, and I, in fact, at the beginning on the right side of the screen there, talked over him because I'm focused on providing that, because I didn't think I did enough of it in the previous day. But I probably didn't need to right here.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he's capable of that. Like, he did a great job of it the previous day, so that might have just been me being overly focused on what my intended goal was coming into this.
What's gonna come up?
Yeah, with no V meter available right here, no V reversal in sight, and that's why he went with a normal into the super, right? Just because there's really nothing you can do if you don't have any V meter. So great stuff from Shushu.
Yeah. Huge jump in here for Shushu, getting in the corner, getting big damage, pressure opportunity coming up.
And you talked about Darlon's fireball game in the beginning, right? You see Shushu definitely getting some rhythm, like kind of knowing when he's going to throw it at this point. Nice DP anti-air, though, something we haven't seen really.
This gives Darlon a chance, no buffer. But still really keeping a strong spot on screen. He can anti-air. If she jumps, he takes some gray, gets some life.
I think I just got tripped over myself there. He takes some gray, he gets some life. I'm trying to say he dealt some gray damage, right? Something like that, some gray life damage. And I just kind of got, I don't know. It didn't come out right.
But still really keeping a strong spot on screen. He can anti-air. If she jumps, he takes some gray, gets some life.
Oh well.
And the fierce, I love the timing of this. No activation? Here it is, Shirley.
Yeah, the target combo catches you out of the air that ends up in a back throw.
Oh, that'll do it.
Most
All that
definitely.
was necessary was the EX at that stage.
You know, I do. This is something that I mentioned last time we did online commentary as well with St. Cola. It is hard sometimes to know whether the other person is talking because you don't have the body language, even aside from tapping the table, right? You don't have the body language. And on top of that, sometimes you just don't hear the other person, right? Like sometimes through Discord or through Zoom or whatever it is, you'll be talking and just like not their voice will be lost during that time. That happens all the time. So it's hard to tell sometimes. And that may be part of what's going on here because I think it was part of what happened with St. Cola as well. But nevertheless, like I feel like I'm really, really intently doing these key moments.
No activation.
And maybe too often.
Here it is, Shirley.
Yeah, the target combo catches you out of the air that ends up in a back throw.
Oh, that'll do it.
Most
All that
definitely.
was necessary was the EX at that stage.
So I think I'm doing that too much here. I think Rynge is doing a good job in not he's hearing me, I believe. It sounds like he is, and he's not running over. You know, I don't want to be running over him, to be clear. But if that is what's happening, it's better that he recognize it and back off. I would rather recognize that he wants to talk and back off. But if I'm not for whatever reason, or if I'm too single-minded on achieving my goal of handling key moments more often, then it's better for him to recognize that than to continue to talk as well. So I could be doing a better job for sure. I like the job he's doing. Anyway, although I think that I'm doing a good job when the key moments have come up, I have set the table with them pretty well. I feel like I've capitalized on them pretty well. I think that side of it is good. I just wish that I wasn't running over Rynge as much as I am, because I think I am.
Caught him flinching right there, right? That's basically what happens. And I mean, people get caught so much flinching when it comes to that Chun-Li V trigger too, right? Everybody, like, it's so used to fighting Chun-Li in a certain way and taking their turns at certain times and block strings that disrupts everything. You just end up having to block for a little bit longer than you think so, or you try to wiggle out and you end up getting clipped. But yeah, that was really good from Shushu for sure.
Fight.
Again, the roundhouse coming up huge at that space on screen, and it's kind of forcing Darlon to either back off or rush in a way that hasn't really been conducive to finding strong footsies. No anti-air again. That duck may have been the first part of a DP. Doesn't matter. Here's Shushu pressuring. All he needs is one more. Nice, and could kill on this even.
Yeah, most definitely.
Got it meterlessly as well, and
Yeah, I was worried I was gonna do that. As I was listening here, I was like, "Oh, this is time to back off," because that was so long. That was
A little bit longer than you
So
think
he's-
or you try to wiggle out and you end up getting clipped. But yeah, that was really
Recapping
good.
this.
Sure.
again the round.
98 seconds is when I began.
Roundhouse coming up huge at that space on screen, and it's kind of forcing Darlon to either back off or rush in a way that hasn't really been conducive to finding strong footsies. No anti-air again. That duck may have been the first part of a DP. Doesn't matter here. Shushu pressuring. All he needs is one more. Nice, and could kill on this even.
Yeah, most definitely.
Got it. Meter.
Time to stop. Time to stop. Not just because of the time. That was 20 seconds. Chill. It's too long. On top of that, I set him up. I mean, this is the way that I ended one of the sentences here.
This even. One more. Nice, and could kill on this even.
I feel like that, I'm listening to it now. That sounds to me like somebody who's transitioning over to his co-commentator. I haven't. No, this is my first time watching it back. I'll ask him though.
Yeah, most definitely.
Got it meterlessly as well, and a perfect. That.
I don't like it. Again, if he hadn't started talking, first of all, it's too long, but let's say that wasn't too long. The things that I said, the way that I said them at the end, good. You know, these are, pretend you don't hear Rynge here.
First part of a DP, doesn't matter here. Shushu pressuring. All he needs is one more. Nice, and could kill on this even.
Yeah, most definitely.
Got it meterlessly as well, and a perfect. That round had everything I thought for Shushu. It had anti-air, it had mix-ups, it had strong footsies. That was such a textbook round.
Quit it already. We're already in the next round. Other than, okay, these are some big caveats, other than running over Rynge, and other than talking too long. I think that it sounded good. The execution was good. The musicality of it was nice. The substance of it was good. It's just, it was too much. It was too much. I needed to back off.
Yeah, and on top of that, it was like, it all started off with one of the raw reads on Darlon, right? Is that you can't be afraid to jump because he's willing to throw fireballs, and his anti-air game has been a little lacking. So I love that he started with just playing upon his opponent's weaknesses.
Darlon, yeah, it seems like he's just become uncomfortable at that footsies range, and so he's been jumping a lot more. This back range here is fine. Okay, finally the buffer.
Ooh, yes, that was a clutch buffer here. Oh, and gets the counter hit, double up on the crouch medium punch. Goes with the neutral jump, but a great stand like you're gonna put it into that.
Patience. Okay, well, it worked out for Darlon. Huge jump in. Was it stand short and just not in time?
I think so. I mean, he woke up with the back dash. Woke up with the back dash, kind of just recognized the jump a little bit too late, ended up getting destroyed by the jump heavy punch.
Okay, I'm glad that I backed off there. That was good. I've been running over too often. Too often.
Nevertheless, still match point here for Shushu. And you see Chun-Li can do that stand short, and if it is the air fireball, it's no big deal.
Yes.
Happy on air time. Extremely fast EX legs. Here it is. Again, this is what Darlon needs. Yep, spends it. He's got great corner pressure for himself here. Maybe
Please let
worried
Rynge
about that
talk.
EX yet again. I don't think it's actually come defensively, but Darlon has consistently looked for it.
Look at that. Still with the roundhouse game, even after getting clipped, you just recognize the range that really dominates the neutral on the ground.
No! Huge chance! And Shushu gives it up. We saw just like his Ibuki did as Chun-Li gives it up. And Darlon sealed the deal, though.
The trigger available for Shushu? Yeah, you gotta think about the type of way Chun-Li's gonna go into it, but instead blocks the jump in, and we all know blocking jump ins really hurt in Street Fighter V, right? Because then you give your opponent a chance to shimmy you, just throw you. They get the world as their oyster when it comes to the pressure. So great stuff right there from Darlon, just taking a step back, knowing that the pressure is on Shushu, and he cracks with a throw tech. Beautiful.
Good. I'm glad that I backed off. There were a couple times in that round where, including at the end, where it felt to me like my time was running out and it's time to transition over to Rynge, and I did. So I'm glad that went well at least. So let's get to just an arbitrary point towards the end. I don't know what's been happening now. Just like, I always have this caveat, right? Just like in a fighting game match, if you go right from the beginning to the very end and miss everything in between, and then try to understand the decisions that are being made at the end, you're not gonna. Because in the meantime, there have been any number of variations in mix-ups and in spacings, and in people have thought of new strategies, and a lot of stuff changes on the fly. So to really understand, you have to watch the whole thing. I don't have enough time for that. So instead, I'm just going to fast forward here. This is now Grand Finals reset, it looks like. Actually, let's go to Grand Finals when it does the reset. Let's just a little bit before that. Hopefully this is a good time. And try to see, hopefully I've recognized, I don't remember, but hopefully I've recognized that I was running over Rynge and that I do it less. But I guess we'll see.
Feel for it. But I mean, Shushu, as you mentioned, a veteran of the Street Fighter 4 franchise, or Street Fighter franchise, excuse me, qualifying for Capcom Cup with Street Fighter 4. He's played these games for a long time. I'm sure he's played Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 since its release. So because of that, he is accustomed to this high-level gameplay and switching up these rhythms, really getting a read on his opponent when they know what he likes to do. And I mean, just incredible stuff. And you can see these players are familiar with each other. He's thinking as much as Jaleshe is thinking about his tendencies, because we saw no trigger being pulled on that -2 spinning mixer into the EX, which he didn't even do, right? But he knows how willing Jaleshe is to do that. So I really just love this set so far. Obviously, both players have an incredible knowledge of the game, incredible knowledge of each other. It's just a very fitting grand final set.
Well, I mean, those are all good thoughts, and he handled them well. Execution was good, but that was a long time.
Round one.
Here we go.
So it's all knotted up
Second
again.
last set. Whoever wins this next 3 out of 5 will qualify for Capcom Cup.
Oh, this was actually not in time. I'm trying to get to the reset itself.
The backup escape.
Confident the jump in works. The shimmy works. Here's Shushu now. Almost there.
Oh, he
All these-
SSBK.
That was good. That was good. I heard him talking and I backed off. All right, cool. Maybe I did learn that lesson mid-set.
Delicious. Staying in this thing.
It's still anybody's game. Okay, there's the throw again. Trying to condition him. Oh no, there is no escape. EX.
Again, EX!
He's willing to do it. He's willing to see that Jaleshe is not going to combat that. Oh, and finally gets close just to back up and force a final round in this first set.
We are going to the final round of set number 1 at least. CPT Online South America 2.
You know, you try to set the stage. I don't know. It sounded a little ham-fisted to me.
Exactly.
big jump in.
Just get it.
Yes, snowballing super hard. All of a sudden, anything for the stun.
Oh my goodness, what a big break. But no, the sweep wasn't in range. No break whatsoever. He ends up getting stunned. EX combo Shelly does have good damage in this season, and it's enough to reset the bracket.
Wow, that was super.
Okay, cool. So I think that if this Grand Finals reset had happened in match number 1, I think that I may have tried to just barge in there, because that's what it sounded like to me. I was doing that too much. But here, I do think that I must have thought about it and realized that I was talking too much. So I feel like this is good. What I set the beginning of the Grand Finals reset. That was cool. Maybe I could have done it in a more interesting way, but I did it. And he talked at the end, and I thought it was quite natural as it continued here.
Yes, snowballing super hard. All of a sudden, anything for the stun.
Oh my goodness, what a big...
So what I would have done, I really think this, if this had been in that match number 1, is I would have set that up and then also continued to talk for the stun itself.
break, but no, the sweep wasn't in range. No break whatsoever. He ends up getting stunned. EX combo Shelly does have good damage in this
I like
season.
it. I think that was good between both of us. I mean, he and I went back and forth pretty well. I wasn't running over him. He handled the end of it nicely. It sounds good to me.
And it's enough to reset the bracket.
Wow, that was super sick as a combo. What a solution to exactly the amount of damage that he needed to do. And Shushu, as you said, with the reset.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing to see how he has, in fact, begun to get a better handle on the timings that we were talking about before, right? So we mentioned he just, simple as it sounds, extremely complex to do, he needed to have different timings on when he brought out things like EX reversals, on when he pressed buttons in neutral, on when he tried to tech, all that sort of stuff, which was being taken advantage of before. And he has managed to make those changes.
Yeah.
So since Rynge is the one who handled the end hype moment, I felt that it was appropriate that I then handle the analysis, right? Back and forth a little bit, you know? I had earlier in the commentary set at the beginning of this thing, I had been handling those key moments, the sort of hype, right? Some analysis as well, but like maybe I'd been trying to do too much. And here I recognized that I had set him up for when the stun was about to happen. He then took advantage of that. He capitalized on that. He did a good job. And then I come in with the analysis of what we have seen so far in order to try to set up what we could see in the final set. So I like it. I think this is good right now.
I think that's like, it's hard to verbalize exactly what we're talking about when it comes to.
Yeah, that's certainly the intention, is to share the stage and to make each other look good, right? Rather than to seem like I'm the best dancer in the world. What I really want is for both of us to look like we're good dancers.
Switching up the rhythm and stuff like that.
That's when a dance is good, isn't it, right? If you're somebody who's watching it, you don't necessarily care that one person's killing it. It needs to be a team effort. And if it's not going to be strong. So that's what commentary is as well, for sure.
That is the thing when it comes to fighting games that I think really experience triumphs overall. It's very hard to kind of teach that in words. You just have to play and really get a feel for it. But I mean, Shushu, as you mentioned, a veteran of the Street Fighter franchise, excuse me, qualifying for Capcom Cup with Street Fighter 4. He's played these games for a long time. I'm sure he's played Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 since its release. So because of that, he is accustomed to this high-level gameplay and switching up these rhythms, really getting a read on his opponent when they know what he likes to do. I mean, just incredible stuff. And you can see these players are familiar with each other. He's thinking as much as Jean Leche is thinking about his tendencies, because we saw no trigger being pulled on that -2 spinning mixer into the EX, which he didn't even do, right? But he knows how willing Jean Leche is to do that. So I really just love this set so far. Obviously, both players have an incredible knowledge of the game, incredible knowledge of each other. It's just a very fitting grand final set.
Round 1. Here we go.
So it's all knotted up
Second,
again.
last set. Whoever wins this next 3 out of 5 will qualify for Capcom Cup out of South America.
You know, again, trying to set the stage a little bit, establish what the stakes are, that kind of thing.
0-0, all tied up for the first.
All right, I'm about to skedaddle, so let's check out the very end.
Let me fix my face. It's gonna do a lot of damage.
It's not enough.
Puts her on a pixel. How much magic you got in this pixel, Shushu?
Oh, this is doable. Find one hit here. Yeah, of course the block comes from Jean Leche in that situation. Of course. But a couple different options into super.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Could be on deck here. That's it. Yeah, trigger activation.
As soon as you get into normal range, though, you can't be walking back. You can't be walking forward because that low forward super is the threat looming.
And so is, at some point, maybe Chip, if there's a little bit more gray life, maybe cancel into legs before. 9, 8 seconds. Overhead blocks properly, nothing.
Funny.
And finally the crouching
9.
comes out. I feel like Jean Leche had not gone that long without pressing no buttons in forever. Guess what? It is tournament point now for Jean Leche to qualify for Capcom Cup.
Bouncing back after the reset. Great confirm off that crouching medium kick. And then he gets the counter hit combo to bring her towards the corner. Oh no, are you looking to buy some more real estate here, my friend? Yes, gets the shimmy attempt. Oh my goodness, this momentum is all on Jean Leche's side right now. Putting her on life support. Could it be another perfect? It is to finish it off. Jean Leche is your second South America qualifier for Capcom Cup 2020.
That is definitely a tell to me that I did figure out what the problem was earlier in the set. And while I think it would have been pretty reasonable if I had jumped in by the end there because he had been talking a long time, I think that I probably decided that I did not want to barge in as often as I did. And if there's a marginal case, which that might have been, I think it's fine to let him handle it. He handled it well, right? So that's good. It's really good to see mid-set adaptation in that way. If I think that something is not going well, to change it, and that's good to be able to do that. So I'm glad to see that. Again, would it have made sense for me to have jumped in here after the stun there? I mean, he had already been talking for 20 seconds. Sure. But I also knew that he could handle it well, and that I had been the one who had been handling it earlier, and maybe it's his turn now. So I think that was fine. I think it was a fine ending. And yeah, I think again, it's good to see that like I can on the fly recognize if there were problems and change them. Just like in playing a match, right? Being able to adapt on the fly. Having a plan going in, realizing it's not working out, changing it. Cool.